Wow, off the back of such an amazing, historic turnout for Black Widow week 1. Yeah, it got thrown out by a remake that nobody asked for, that's way past its expiration date considering its star attraction. Like the first one before it had LeBron James attached to it, and this motherfucker's pissed off everybody in the world at this point. He is the most hated athlete, at least on Twitter, so put those metrics in whatever category you wish, but this dude is real high-level trash, so he couldn't be the driving force behind this. It's just the fact of the matter is, the numbers suck dick, hence why Space Jam, that still has some recognition, that still has some love for the original, something that I've seen in the theaters. It was one of the things that I vehemently remember from my childhood. I've went back and watched some clips, and while the animation is still really good, Michael Jordan couldn't act his way out of a paper bag. But then, of course, we've also heard all of the different media appearances from LeBron James, and that dude makes Michael Jordan look like Marlon Brando. So yeah, off the back of there being literally no other competition and word of mouth has finally spread, we got another king of the box office. Yeah, sure. The fucking king of an empty empire. Black Widow succeeded its #1 spot to an unlikely foe. Really? Like, this movie's been in development for what seems like the better part of a decade. I don't really necessarily think that it's unlikely, but nobody likes this movie either. LeBron James, Bugs Bunny, and the rest of the stars of Warner Brothers' Space Jam: A New Legacy defied expectations and won the box office this weekend. Oh, really? Well, yeah, no. Tracking, like, even Black Widow, like, if it would have followed just a regular kind of drop-off from week 1 to week 2, you still should have beat out Space Jam. Maybe that's what they mean by unexpected, because, yeah, all of the criticism that Space Jam has faced from the fact that Lola Bunny has the sex appeal of a fucking flowerless vase, and just the animation as a stark contrast from that mid-90s romp to today's, I don't know how it looks worse, but they look more plastic, and cartoons look faker. It's just a worse animation style. You know, that's totally subjective, and you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. I just think that it looks like absolute distilled horseshit. But another conversation for another time. It's more about the failure of Black Widow than the success of Space Jam. According to studio estimates Sunday, Space Jam: A New Legacy grossed $31.7 million in North America. Congratulations, you won the weekend box office. $31.7 million. Okay. Oh, but those are coof numbers. Really? But you were still champion $80 million for Black Widow last weekend. Okay? You can't have it both ways, stupid. Well, Black Widow took in $26.3 million. Oh. But the spin machines are out there. The spin machines are out there, right? Oh, well, it had a simultaneous release on Disney Plus, therefore not enough people wanted to go, okay? They didn't want to go to the theaters when they had the option of just watching it at home, okay? All right, cool. Then why did you champion that opening weekend? It made $120 million, $120 million? You made $60 or $40 million on Disney Plus streaming services, right? Yeah, no, you made all of that money out there. Yeah, make sure the first time ever Disney releases their streaming numbers and their streaming revenue. Yeah, no, nothing sus about that. The numbers, take them for what you will. Are they accurate? Are they not? I just find it a little bit suspicious that that's the first time that they ever want to release their numbers. But yeah, no, okay, sure, $140 million, whatever it is. And then you take a look at the people that went out there and actually bought Black Widow on Disney Plus streaming service. Yeah, okay, who gives a fuck about Space Jam? Nobody likes it, like it says here. It's getting panned by critics, and it's getting panned by the audience. It's sitting at like a 30-some% for both. Like, nobody likes this movie, okay? And nobody likes Black Widow. Anybody who was intrigued by Black Widow went out and seen it week 1, okay? Anybody who just kind of has like a little passing interest, they might wait until it's free on Disney Plus in like early October, early November, something like that. Or they'll sail the high seas, get a copy, have a laugh, and wonder why they dedicated so much of their life to the MCU over the past 10 years. But if you were actually invested in that stuff, sorry you dedicated so much time that you could have been spending to watching some good movies from like the 80s and the 70s. But it's funny, right? They're trying to champion this as some kind of a success. Black Widow's 10-day U.S. household viewership rises to $2 million, or 2 million people on Disney Plus premiere. According to Samba TV numbers, it's like, okay, 2 million people bought it on Disney Plus at $30 a pop. And, you know, nothing to shake a stick at. At the end of the day, it's $60 million, and that's a good haul, okay? And this was something that people have been wanting for a very long time. Like here in Grand Prairie, we now, even before the COOF, we have one theater. And it has never gone under extensive renovations since its opening. And it opened, I think it was in on or around the millennium. Like, it's been up there for a long fucking time. The Gateway Power Center, if you're familiar with the area, it was like the third or fourth major building to go up there. And since then, everything else has been under renovations, except for the Cineplex, okay? And the Cineplex was dilapidated the last time that I went, and the last movie that I seen in theaters was The Dark Knight Rises. So just to give you a little bit of heads up, it's been a minute since I've been there, but there's been billion-dollar movie after billion-dollar movie, and that place gets packed. And even though when I seen it last Friday night, went through there, just wanted to see, it's like, okay, everything's back, Black Widow's out there, let's see what the people are doing. And the fucking parking lot was absolutely full, okay? Seems like everything was back. So yeah, the numbers at the outset of Black Widow, yeah, it seemed highly possible, very likely that it was going to make a whole hell of a lot of money. But then word of mouth started to spread, and not even people were sitting at home watching this shit, because 2 million people on Disney Plus, when you have a fucking viewership of 103.6 million subscribers, dude, that is fucking atrocious. You barely pulled in 1% of your audience to fucking buy this garbage, okay? Now, we could talk about writing. We could talk about the fact that it was written in 11 days, and they're trying to champion that as some kind of a success. You just take a look at the numbers that are out there, and all of the tangible evidence, because like I said, I haven't watched a movie. Like the last movie that I watched at home, last new movie that I watched at home was Iron Man 3. And that movie sucks a million shades of shit, and it deserves its own deep dive at a different time. But that, once again, is not the point of this, okay? We only have numbers, and we only have tangible evidence as to why a third of the audience stuck around for the second week. The writing is shit. The intersectionality and the third wave feminism is just out in fucking full force, okay? People are just waiting for it to be free, or they're just not even going to check it out, because is anybody going to be talking about this horrific disaster by October? No, there'll be like 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 other fucking MCU-based properties that are out there, and then people will just continue to churn it over and over and over again. Because for all you people that were talking about how great WandaVision is, and oh, it got 23 daytime Emmy Awards, or whatever, just Emmy Awards in general, can you tell me anything outside of the really endearing sitcom aesthetic from the first few episodes? Is there anything else that was out there? Could you tell me anything about Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Could you... I know Loki just ended. What was your favorite highlights? Something that will resonate with you continuing into the future? Absolutely nothing, because the MCU doesn't care about telling good stories anymore, okay? They were interested in that back in the Iron Man days, they gave it a college try with Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk, but Thor, they were all trying this kind of stuff, and then their first big team-up effort, like, I still remember, and I haven't watched it in a long time, I still remember some big key plot points for the original Avengers. It was a decent film, seen it in theaters, seen it a couple of times when it came out on film, and yeah, no, I got my I got my Blu-ray over there, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that film, but outside of that, I can't tell you what the fuck happened with Iron Man 2, like, there's nothing memorable about that whatsoever. And then I've got a couple of the other ones that are over there, like Winter Soldier, didn't even bother with it. Thor Dark World, all I hear is it's probably one of the worst MCU movies out there. And then, yeah, I just fell off after that, because I was tired of this cookie cutter formula. And it's like, okay, you got your talking scene, then you got your action scene, then you got your talking scene, then you got your action scene, and then you got your big reveal scene. Oh, and then you have your heroes go into a problem, and then they overtake the hero, or they overtake the villain at the end. Cool. Woo! Couple of one-liners thrown in there. Cut, print, perfect. That's all you're getting. That's all you're getting. I'd rather not waste my time. My time's too valuable. I got shit that I need to work on. And then there's shit like Captain Marvel started to come out there. And it's like, okay, interesting enough hero, interesting enough character. You did it dirty. Okay. And then Black Widow, unfortunately, is the next big movie. You can go ahead and think of Endgame, what you will. It just kind of encapsulated that entire point in time Phases 1 through 3 are done and over, and they are now primed to being raped and pillaged, because Black Widow has been out there for a long fucking time. Should it have been in that Captain Marvel time slot between Infinity War and between Endgame? Perhaps, potentially. Should have been the right decision to make, because there's no stakes for this one, okay? Spoiler, Black Widow dies in Endgame. So were people going to show up for a movie for a character who's already dead? There's no stakes in it anymore. She's going to be gone after the end of this. The mantle of Black Widow is just going to be passed along to the next one that's in there. Somebody who's even less believable in the role is taking over the role of the world's greatest spy. You know, somebody who doesn't have superpowers, somebody who's just an expert marksman, somebody who is the peak physical condition, taken over by somebody who's like 90 pounds and 5'4". Ooh, really fucking trying to put off a believable product. Oh, but it's a superhero movie. Oh, but she doesn't have super serum coursing through her veins or anything that would make you believe that she was capable of doing anything. And she's just an average looking girl who's taken over for Black Widow, if we're being completely honest. Like, even at 35 or 36, however old ScarJo's old ass is, she's still pretty fucking fine. But Frances Pugh? Yeah, no. She's not turning any heads. And then what's the other big caveat for the movie, for Black Widow here, if we're going to circle back around to that? Well, that would be the villain, right? Taskmaster, right? Got a fair amount of screen time. People were talking about his costume, and to me, he just kind of looks like a crossing guard on Halloween. Like, nothing that impressive, but you know what? He's got a pretty cool skill set, and when it comes to Marvel villains, he's pretty up there, right? But he was done incredibly dirty in this video, because for the entire run of the film, there was mystery, there was intrigue. They referred to him as somebody who they were very unsure of as to who it was, and this dude was kicking absolute ass throughout the entire movie. And then close to the end, the helmet comes off, and then it's a Bond girl for one of the worst James Bond films of all time, Olga Kurylenko. There were some questions. There were a lot of questions, because this is once again another incredibly slight woman, apparently just beating the living fuck out everybody. And not even any of the footage used of Taskmaster, any of the fight scenes, didn't really seem to line up with any female anatomy. Something that idiots can go out there and try to dispute, that there's no difference between men and women. But when there's a dude running at you and there's a woman running at you, you don't have to be a certified personal trainer to be able to tell the fucking difference. Women have hips, men have a good running gait. Facts are facts. And just for posterity's sake, that was the dude underneath the suit. Yeah, that right there. The Bond girl for Quantum of Solace. That was your stunt double. That was the dude who was on screen for all of what? 2 hours of the 2 hours 30 runtime? Congratulations. That's why Olga needed multiple stunt doubles, because, okay, when you're casting a villain, somebody who already has an established backstory, and you just wanted to use the name in order to push your own fucking propaganda out there, you just rewrite it for yourself, and you couldn't be asked to learn any of the fight scenes. You couldn't be asked to do any of the choreography. No. You just wanted to have your face green screened and superimposed over the suit of somebody else standing there to get all the credit for it. Okay, then have the audacity to say that your character is so much better than the original source character. Go fuck yourself. The character of Taskmaster in Marvel's Black Widow is a hell of a concept to behold. Yeah, not for the reasons you're pointing out. A fighter who can copy the moves of anyone they study. Yeah, that's pretty sweet, actually. With a seemingly photographic memory. That's why you'd be able to copy by look. Okay, whatever. Scarlett Johansson's returning from the grave Avenger. No, this was set a long time ago. I don't really care. But she's already dead in, like, a chronological sense. Had her work cut out for her in the latest Nemesis, and according to Olga Kurylenko, the featured actor behind one of the latest MCU adversaries to take on the screen. Not really. It was a role so crazy that it took multiple stunt doubles to execute, because she's too brittle to be able to do it, for one, and then at the same time, she couldn't be asked to learn anything in order to prepare for a role. It's almost like she was just chosen because she's a pretty face. Weird. Part of the endeavor meant that it got to speak, that this guy got to speak with Olga Kurylenko on behalf of a press tour that's promoting, yes, the MCU's return to movies, so the Taskmaster being obscured for most of the film and portrayed by this guy who is definitely not Olga Kurylenko. Andy Lister is his correct name, and he's a hell of a stunt double. He wondered how much screen time Miss Kurylenko got when it came to bringing to life a piece of Natasha Romanoff's past that she thought had died. Here's what the actress had to say when asked if it was her in the Taskmaster suit all along. No, fuck no. You seen the movie? I don't do flips. I don't throw kicks. I don't punch like that. Come on, fuck off. The answer is, I wish I was. But women can do everything that a man can do, except for act in an action film. Seen what the character does. Unfortunately, physically, I don't have all the skills or any of the acting talents, so I had to be doubled multiple times. I actually had more than one person doubling me. Oh my god. Isn't that just a big old fucking red flag that this is the wrong person for the job? Apparently not. Apparently not. Because there are different people specializing in different things, no one person had all of Taskmaster's skills. It's kind of cool in a way because the character is so strong and so amazing that the skills have to, that it's more important, or rather, one person that have to work on it. Whatever. English isn't her first language, so I won't drag her over the coals for that. I'll just drag her over the coals for the fact that she was there for like one fucking face reveal, and the rest of the time it was other people. Okay. Oh yeah, he learned so many different fighting styles. It's a fucking action movie, a Disney action movie. You don't have to be terribly realistic, and you're not going to be doing fucking complex holds. Okay. Yeah, you got to be Hawkeye and shoot an arrow in one scene. Fucking cool. You got to flash some claws from Black Panther because representation matters. And then you had to do generic martial arts. Cool. But yet you couldn't be asked to do any of that. Or maybe you weren't, but then at the same time you have the audacity to claim that you were the Taskmaster all along. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Like it's pointed out here, Taskmaster actor claims her character is as strong and maybe even stronger than the male comic book version of Taskmaster. I'm not even going to pretend to tell you that I know a whole hell of a lot about the backstory of Taskmaster. All I know is it's a cool looking suit. That is a security guard at a Halloween spirit outlet. Barely a hood. There is no cape, and the sword is very rarely, if ever, shown once, right? This is supposed to be a more realistic depiction, hence why you had to have guys throwing punches, and then you just had the women doing the talking. Actually makes sense. Taskmaster actor, should just say part-time, Olga Kurylenko recently discussed her taking on the role of a gender-swapped Taskmaster in a recently released Black Widow film. Kurylenko spoke with comicbook.com about the controversy surrounding her reveal as Taskmaster. First, Kurylenko claims the gender swap fits the story. How so, stupid? She says, you see, it does fit the story. Oh, okay, cool. She says it. That means it's true. I was concentrating on this story, but then at the same time, you were fucking amazed by the fact that Taskmaster can use different styles to fight. Yeah, did a lot of studying, I see. She then stated the decision, character changes, wasn't made by me, and as far as I'm concerned, I was happy for the decision. Yeah, because you got paid, because otherwise you wouldn't have. Of course, because it involves me and it's so much fun. It's all about you now, isn't it? Just another one of these old fucking bitches just trying to cash in on just whatever's remaining of her beauty. No shots thrown at her, but she was a part of one of the worst Bond films of all time. And I don't remember Quantum of Solace. I know I've watched it. I remember dedicating the 2.5 hours it took to watch it. I just don't remember anything from that movie. And she was just so... Duh. Next, Kurylenko claims the gender swap is relevant. She explains, yes, because otherwise if I don't have penis, can't get paid. Well, I understand that they swapped gender, but it's really irrelevant, really, whether the character is a female or a male, because who cares? Good argument. Good argument. If it doesn't matter, then why do you care? Why couldn't it have just been a man? Or why was it a man every time that action was on the screen? Okay, why was it a man the entire time? Why do you get to take credit for Andy Lister? Why can't you just say? Why can't you have the hubris to admit that you were unqualified for the position? She then asserts, now she's just as strong and maybe even stronger. Sure, bro. It's not about what gender you are. Yes, because gender doesn't exist. It's about what your capabilities are, what you can do, how well you do what you're supposed to do, and if you're excellent at it, it doesn't matter who you are. She sounds like every wine mom on Facebook posting inspirational memes. It doesn't matter what you have to do. Until you're fighting actual men, actually trained men. And then you realize it doesn't matter how good you are or how well a woman is trained. And equally or equivalently trained man will consistently and utterly kick your ass. Those are genetics. There's no fighting that. You can be as good as you want, but somebody is just going to come in there and fucking smash your face in. And the entire point of Taskmaster is knowing what those capabilities are and how to use them. You, Olga, could have been a great Black Widow or something like that. One of those characters, a femme fatale character. But somebody who specializes in hand-to-hand combat, yeah, you should take some of your own advice. And as you can see, not the one in the moo-moo, but Andy Lister there standing next to the director. That's a dude standing there. Obviously. You see those fucking shoulders? There's a big difference, okay? Yeah, I need not lament on this any further because it just bears no need for repeating, right? People were excited to go out to the theaters, right? They went out there, they got to see their big flashy summer flick, and then questions were starting to be asked. And then reviews started to roll in, realizing that, yeah, as many of those access media outlets as the legacy media just heaps accolades onto it. Yeah, taking a look at any sort of an in-depth review on this, it is fucking dog shit. And that's why people piled out of the cinemas, okay? And they didn't want to just go and watch something. That was the novelty once. I hope that means that normies are starting to pick on this stuff, but yeah, we're gonna have to see, because there's a few more hurdles ahead of us before we figure out if there is a light at the end of the tunnel, or if that light is in fact a train. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.